grade 11, busy with graphs, with functions. There are 4. So with each of them, straight line, parabola, hyperbola, exponential graph, you must be able to sketch them and find the equations, and then we're going to put all of the stuff together and find some funky mixed exercises. First of all, yesterday I gave you homework. You've got to go sketch this. Hopefully you don't think that this is a straight line or a hyperbola or a parabola. You need to know what you're busy with. Once you realize that this is an exponential graph, you know that the first thing that you're going to sketch is the asymptote. First thing that I want from you is the asymptote, which is? Nope. Nope. Y equals 2. There, you got it. 2 is a number. Y equals 2 is a straight line, a horizontal straight line. So can I start my sketch already? Yes. If my sketch has an asymptote, I'm just quickly checking out. Once you start off, prepare, organize your thoughts. First thing I saw is that y is equal to 2. Then when I started sketching it, I only went and looked at the shape. What does that minus there in front mean for my sketch? It's got to be under the asymptote. So whether it is increasing or decreasing, you can go study that off by heart. You can if you want to. If you don't want to, it's not necessary. So if I know that that is negative, but yesterday I said to you that A cannot be negative.
Yes.
So is A negative?
Yeah.
Nope. A is 2. What is the minus?
B.
It's minus 1, that is the place of. That's actually minus 1 times 2 to the x plus 1. So it's true that the A part can never be negative. Otherwise it jumps up and down, up and down. It's not an exponential graph. The minus though says it's got to be at the bottom. Now I'm not just going to go sketch unless I know it off by heart that because this value here is a 2, it's going to be descending. Then you could have done it. Okay. But you're not supposed to. I think you're not supposed to. What am I going to search for though? The y-intercept. Why? It has to cross the y-axis, right?
Yes.
For the y-intercept, we're going to put
X equals 0.
and it will be y is equal to negative 2 to the 0 plus 1 equals plus 2. Put that in your calculator. Because this means 2 to the power 1 is 2, and minus 2 plus 2, oopsie, is 0. Y-intercept? Oh, guys, please can you just tell me to wake up? And how did I know that it was wrong? I'm trying to sketch it here at the bottom and now I'm going through there. Okay, are you with me?
Yes.
Alright, so now still, do I know whether it's ascending or descending? Okay, let's go get the x-intercept. Why are you wasting your time? Why would you look for the x-intercept?
Because
it's already there. The y-intercept is 0. That means the x-intercept is also going to be 0. Now, if you don't stop and think what you're busy with, you would have said, let's go do it, and what would you have found? That it's 0. So the guy that doesn't do it, is he going to lose marks? No, because you're thinking while you're doing it. But now I still have a problem. I still don't know if it's going to be ascending or descending. So what do you do? Choose another point. Which point?
X equals to 1.
And if you do that, you've got minus 2, 1 plus 1 plus 2. So this answer then will be 2 to the power of 2, which is 4, but the negative in front stays negative. Is this not a minus squared? Nope, the minus is all on its own. It's part of the b in the front there. So this is not negative 2 squared, which is 4. It's negative 4 plus the 2 gives me negative 2. Put it in your calculator. What point did I just find? How many points on a graph? Infinitely many. The point I just found out was on my sketch is where x is 1, the y is.
Negative 2.
So let's go put it on the correct place. So if it's 1 and negative 2, it should be somewhere about there. Do you now know whether this graph is descending or ascending? Are you with me?
Yes.
Closer to the asymptote, not going forward and coming downwards. And I call this F, and I'm done. How many marks? About 5 marks. Asymptote, definitely. Intercept, yes. Another point, and I would have liked it if I had written here for myself 1 and minus 1. What must they know what's going on there? The 0, you don't really have to write it because it's right through the origin and everybody knows it's a 0. It's fine. Asymptote, shape, everything. 5 marks. The last question there was, please find me the equation of this thing if I do a transformation. If I move it or shift it 2 units to the right and 1 unit up. Now this is where it comes in that you know your general formula is, right, 1, 2, 3, 4 variables in play. That means asymptote. That will tell you the shape. That will tell you actually if it's ascending or descending, which you don't really have to go good. But what is the P all about? P. Goal, yes? Shifting left and right, which I said to you, you can't really see. If I take this graph and shift it 1 unit to the right, it's not going to go all the way like, if it's a straight line there and I move it to the right, it's going to be exactly the same distance apart. This won't do that. You'll maybe find that it goes like this, very close together, and then even cuts and goes lower. Something like that. You can't really see it, but that's the effect. And that is what they're testing here. If you move the graph left and right, the effect is on the P. If you move it up and down, the effect is on the Q. So let's move it left and right, girls. So it's 2 to the right. What are you going to do? Minus with 2. Where are you going to minus with 2? The plus 1. So the plus 1, you're going to minus with 2, and what's your answer? And everything else stays like it was. So this will now be minus 1. 2 to the right means, say minus 2 in your expression or your equation. So if you say minus 2, then this answer will be minus 1. You can even show yourself plus 1 minus 2, and that'll break it like that. And then the easy one is the boys. Moving 1 up, that's the effect on the Q. It used to be 2, 1 up is marks in the exam. 2 marks, but I can find that minus 1 and that you found the 3. Right. Finding an equation of an exponential expression, very important. They have to give you the formula, in which there will not be 3 and 4 variables. There's 2. Namely, in this case, P and Q. But man, that's wrong. That should have been minus P. Is that wrong? No. But you're still going to do what I need to do. If I say left, you're going to go plus. If I say right, you're going to go minus. But they can put the P there with a plus or a minus. Can they make this minus? Yep. It's still the up and down. You go up is plus, down is minus, like always. They can change this. And it doesn't have to be P and Q. They could make it A and B. Okay. So it can be any variable and any sign. You've got to know how to apply it. What they have given you is the value of A, the one that determines whether it's ascending or descending, which is true according to this one, if you know that, which I say you don't have to. And the B value is positive 1. That's why it's above the asymptote. Guys, there's like a heap of information you've got to know. Right. So now, the only things that I need to go find out is P and Q. And the obvious thing is, Q is 2. Now, if the question had maybe said, find Q and P, can you just substitute it and say, but man, there it is. If I say find Q, you should be writing Q equals 2 to answer my question. Always write in an exam, write with a highlighted pen, so that when you've done the sum and the question says, find Q, and you never ever said Q is 2. Right, Q is 2, highlight it. Find the equation, I haven't found it yet, but write the equation, highlight it. Find whatever they ask me, highlight. Whatever they asked you one by one, highlight, highlight, highlight. Yes, I've done everything. Right, so am I done?
No.
I'm short? P. And that I do by substituting a point.
Point.
So the point 6 is in the place of y, and in the place of x there's a
1.
so I'm still short the p value. What type of an equation is this? Exponential. So what do you need to do?
You need to get the
basis the same. One power on either side. So first of all,
Take
the 2 across and it becomes minus 2, so I'll have 4. Happy on that?
Yes.
Then we'll change the 4 into
2 to the power of
2
2.
to the power of 2. And then we make a
Mathematical
logical deduction. So that means that p is going to be equal to
1.
1. Done.
Yeah. No, we have to
No, you've got to answer the question, the equation then of h. And whether you write h, x or y,
Doesn't matter.
doesn't really matter. So you're going to have 2 to the power of x plus 1 plus 2, and now I'm done. I've answered the question. If the question had said find p and q, did I actually write that? Well, there's p. Highlight. Oopsie. Highlight. So name is happy. Are you with me?
Yes.
Right, now we've got to get to mixed graphs. Let's have a look at a mixed graph. So they usually put 2 graphs on one, and they love asking the straight line together with each other one. So Nam is teaching you, please know your straight line, otherwise it's just, okay? Because you're using the straight line in analytical geometry, you're using it in trigonometry, and you're also using it in functions. Everywhere I ask you for straight lines and you don't know about it, that's just silly. Okay, know your straight line. So straight line together with a parabola in the first example, or the first homework sum. I'm going to help you through this. You're going to do it and then we're going to mark it next time. So the question says, I've got a parabola. My turning point is the point 1 and 4, and if they don't say it, you can deduct it there. That's obviously the turning point.
Yeah.
Then I've got a straight line, the red one. So the purple one is F, and the red one is G. And it's numbered there on the graph as well. The first question says, and I even knew that they were going to ask it. What do you think they're going to ask me? Get me the equation. What do you know what to do? How to get the equation and how to sketch. So all of that's going to now be implemented. All the stuff that you learned, sketching and finding the equation. So if they ask you to find this equation, then you should know, toolbox. How do I find the equation of a parabola?
We have a turning point.
2 ways. Turning point and a point, or
2x
x-intercepts and a point. And each of them have their own formula that you've got to know. So in this case, it will be the turning point 1, which you're going to substitute, and then you're going to short something that you're going to have to go and substitute back in. Now they say, prove that A is -1, B is 2, and C is 3. They're actually helping you. So you know if A has got to be 1, and B has got to be 2, plus 2x, and C has got to be 3. If you've got to prove that, I'm putting equal signs all the time. Okay, if they said prove it, then it should be that. If you don't get there, it doesn't mean that there's a mistake. You made the mistake. That's what you got to prove. But you start there. No, you pretend like you don't know, and hopefully you'll get there to get that answer, and then you know you're right. So you're going to have to substitute the x-intercept, and what else have you got? Do you have something else on that parabola?
We have the x-intercepts.
What are they?
A and B.
A and B, which are what? Not given. Turning point is the only thing I've got.
Yes.
I always need a turning point and
And a
another
point.
point. Which other one do I have?
Oh, the 0 by 0 and 0. Isn't it? By
But it's not on the
B and
parabola.
C.
By C?
C is 0.
C is 3. Why?
Because they stay touching.
How do they find C? C is 3. No, not because they say so.
Oh,
Because of
the equation.
the straight line. The straight line says, hey, the y-intercept is 3. And the y-intercept of the straight line and the y-intercept of the parabola is the same for you. You have to see it. So it's not that in your face. It is a turning point and a point, but you have to work a little bit harder to see that point coming from there. Because remember now, I have to go prove it, I can't use it. So the C value is 3 because of the straight line. That's what you're going to substitute in. And if you couldn't get that right, they told you what A, B, and C should be, so can you carry on with the sum? Then I can carry on. This next question says, find the range of f. Range of f, that's the y values. You should know d, r, x before y. The range of f should be all the y's. All the y's. Underneath, smaller than, and equal to 4. Next question, get the equation of the axis of symmetry of f. Where's the axis of symmetry? Equation
If
x is equal to 1. That's the equation. Guys, that's all the stuff we've done. Find the average gradient between A and C. Average gradient, what's that? M equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus
x1.
Yeah, yes, we actually know it from analytical, but here as well and everywhere. Okay? So if I need, but then I need A. What is A? Is A now not the one that I talked about? Please guys, small letters, capital letters, not the same thing. Small a is the value that you got there. But big A is a x-intercept of the parabola. Now that you've got it, even if you couldn't get it, you can use that formula that they gave you, and you can find the x-intercept. How many x-intercepts are you going to find? So the one belongs to A and the one belongs to B, and use your logic which one goes where. So once you've got the A and the C, then you do the analytical y2 minus y1. Are you with me? I'm helping you with the first one. Then for the next question, they're asking something quite difficult. They're asking me if PQT is perpendicular to the x-axis. PQT perpendicular to the x-axis. They've drawn it in there anyway. If that is perpendicular to the x-axis and P is right above, vertically above, they don't have to say that. If it's vertical, it should be right above it. Then I've got to go find the maximum value of PQ, the maximum distance of PQ. So in other words, the distance between the parabola and the straight line is going to vary from point to point, right? Over here it's going to be less. On B it's going to be nothing because they're equal. Then the distance is going to be bigger, 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 and somewhere it's going to get smaller, smaller, smaller again. They want to know where's the max. Should that be at the turning point? No, not necessarily. But how will I do that then? So I'm helping you here. For PQ, you've got to say the top one, which is the parabola, which is F, minus the bottom one, which is the straight line, which is G. And you're going to have to put in those equations and minus them. And that's not equal to 0 and an equation. It's equal to PQ. It's an expression. So here's where the helping comes in, because it was like 2 months ago when we did this. If I wanted the maximum of some sort of a quadratic expression, how did I get that? You had to do completing the
Square.
So you got to go do completing the square, because say for instance this was my answer. I taught you that that would always be your maximum or minimum. This expression's maximum will always be, it doesn't really matter what stands over there, and I don't know what it is, I'm just giving you some random numbers here. But what it is over there would be the maximum. And then they want to know what is OT. So if you find out here that the maximum value is 7, they would like to know what is the x value where that happens. If this was, for instance, 7. So the second part of the question is, you've got to go take, again, P minus Q, but you must go and say, if that is equal to 7. If it's equal to 7, solve the equation and you'll find the x for which the distance is equal to 7. Remember, the answer is not 7. Okay, please go and chew on that, because it's a long time ago that we've done this. Almost there. Then I want to know for which values of x will this happen. Where will f divided by g be positive?
When one is at the top and the one's at the bottom.
Oh, I'm so glad you listened when we were busy with trig. Because in trig, the question usually was, where is f times with g, positive or negative? What makes it positive if they both positive or both negative? What does that mean on a graph? Both above the x-axis or both below? But this is now a division. Same thing. If I divide and the answer is positive, they both should be positive or both should be negative. Alright? We are both positive, so we go to the sketch. So here, one is above and one is below, up to where? A, which you have worked out in your homework. So whatever it is, say for instance it's -2. I don't know what it is. So it would be from -2 up to. They both at the top, both at the top, both at the top till B. And then they're both at the bottom. What did I want for positive? Both at the top or both at the bottom. So it's basically between -2 and, say this was 6, I don't know what it is. Between there as well as bigger than 6, but careful. Usually when we say include, we include those two numbers. But there's a problem with this particular sum, because I'm dividing. So the bottom thing can never be 0. The bottom thing, which is the straight line. So can I be there on the place where the bottom thing is 0? So I can't include the 6 anyway. So it'll be between those two, and the other one I will check how you do the equal to and not equal to. Last question is just to find an x-intercept, but we'll look at that tomorrow and see what you've done with it. Let me give you a clue. They ask you, how do I move this thing so that it'll only have one x-intercept? How will you move this parabola so it'll only have one x-intercept? You've got to move it. Not left, down. You're going to move it down how much? By 4 units. You've got to move it down by 4 units and then it'll sit here on the axis. So you moved it down with 4. Just answer the question that they've asked there for you as well. Okay?